All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to our first subscriber game here. I haven't checked in for a while because we've really just been on the same basic mission here, which is streaming into Asia and just scorched earth, taking everything. We did talk about the idea that once people, for instance, Darwin, and especially over here, Java, once they reach a certain number of territories here, they may want to consider bringing their uh, let's see, what is this? This is South Borneo. Bringing their capitals forward. If I were to bring my capital forward, I'd certainly leave it as close to my mainland stuff as possible, right? But you need to. It's almost like I almost think of it like as an irrigation system that keeps your troops watered. They've got to be close to get that. And the thing about it too is the reason to get it forward rather than rearward is that these are all newly conquered troops. So if we look at this through the lens of, oops, I don't know why I did that. That's not what I wanted to do. If you look at through the lens of morale here, you will see that the recently conquered stuff is all pink, whereas our home stuff, our stuff back in our own territories, is all bright green. So, that's just on a spectrum from green to red, and it doesn't really get much darker than this, what you see over here. So that's because it's all recently conquered stuff. So, again, loving this corridor here that Java has been kind enough, first of all, to build railways on, but also I love with the railways, they give that +7. And then also it was best for Java to do that because Java has a capital close by. And so this whole corridor has high morale. And that just means that as our troops pass through there, they absorb that and they get a higher morale. They get to raise their own troop morale, which has been lowered from days on the sea. So like I think about it, like they just spent like a week in boats, getting sick over the side and, eating crappy food. And then all of a sudden they arrive here and Java is waiting, with like warm blankets, and the people are, the morale of these territories is high. Sure, they got conquered, but they realize their new conquerors are benign, and they're starting to really get like into the mood of, hey, these people are going to unify our continent. No more petty wars, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But this is a good map to look at sometimes because you can kind of see how the rest of the world is doing. Some of your opponents that you may be thinking of challenging, see what their morale looks like. There's a lot of good morale in here. That's because this is all AI. So it's all just been sitting on its stuff, more or less. So again, though, this is what we're talking about here. Look at that pink. The idea of bringing forward your capital is a one that everybody should consider at some point or another. I really can't give great advice on when to do that. I would almost say maybe when you have more territories here than you have behind you. But I feel like that's just different for everybody. So again, though, you'll see this continued progress here. Something else I did want to mention is I'm super nervous about these smoking countries. But I'm not going to tell Darwin what to do because he's been really kicking butt, doing well, and also offering a lot of good advice in our chat. So he definitely knows what he's doing. This does scare me, seeing this many burning territories, and we saw all that pink there. But it's 33%, so I'll shut my mouth. 33% is safe. 28 is not quite safe. But, there is a certain risk involved, by the way, with this. If you want to conquer forward, you can risk it. Like, what is it like with 30%? It's not that much of a risk, maybe 8% chance of rebellion without leaving troops behind. I don't know. But anyway, encourage all of us to be aware of that as we conquer forward. Leaving troops behind if you have to. What I'm up to these days is I have conquered this sort of corridor here, and I seem to be falling into a rhythm with this corridor, and I hope I can keep going with it on up into here because I do intend to build railways. I did inherit a railway here. That was super cool. Came here and it was already there, and I was like, that's awesome. I didn't bomb it out, I guess. And then I'm building one down here in this longest province, which is also a double province here. Now, this is one of my first productions on mainland Asia. I'm loving it. I do have the production starting way down here. The only other sort of place I have on the map here. And so this is what, of course, was gifted to me from Java. Java being a super cool dude, by the way, in so many ways, as we talked about. And so I went ahead and built a harbor here. And then I went ahead and built a railway to uphold my part of that, trans peninsular railway. And then now I'm going ahead and building up my factory capacity. I want to get as much factory capacity forward as I can. And I don't really feel like the factories back here are wasted per se, because they're still increasing my production and they're still increasing my morale back here. So eventually, though, I do hope to shift all of my production forward as I continue to stream units in, try to keep that pipeline full, continuously streaming. And you can see there is a gap in the streaming here. I don't know why that is, but I think I may have waited a couple days before I gathered and sent another group. And you don't notice it at first, but when there is a gap, you notice it, So continuing to stream up there. Again, our railway is getting better. And of course, I'm going to do my part as much as I can here. It's not going to be part of the main spine of this railway per se, but for Darwin, for instance, coming up, he can jump on that railway and ride it up into further Conquest North. So we're all hopefully kind of doing our part here. I did note that Esperance here is doing great. Gascoigne has a territory here. I will say what I've been looking at lately is the possibility of invading over here and taking directly. I see that my friend Darwin has been thinking the same thing. So I approve. I think that's awesome. I do have 6 cruisers heading this way. And the thing is, I don't really have anything to do with my cruisers other than that, somewhere on this coast, right, of East India. So, and then I do have some, a bunch of, that's what's, okay. I mentioned the gap. Why weren't they coming up here? Yeah, because at a certain point, I grabbed a bunch of these guys and sent them out west here. So that's why the gap. All right. I didn't think I had waited that long in sending people off, but yeah, so instead of going north, a lot of these people have directions for heading. Yeah, you can see all this whole group is heading west. So instead of jumping onto the railway here and moving much faster, which if they'd been directed up here, they might be as far up as say up here. You really can't underestimate the power of that fast motion. You're slow on the ocean, very, very slow on the ocean, and then on land you're better, and then with the railway you're even better. So that's what it is. This gap would have been populated by these people out on the water because they would have jumped on and gotten up the railway. Okay, I love explaining my own stupid misunderstandings. Okay, so other than that, there's not much to say. I've been at war for the last few turns with this country here. Again, I hope to take up to here and then go ahead and think about conquering further north. In fact, you know what? If I do this, I will block someone else out from their northward progress. And I don't need to do that. I don't need to do that because I can continue my railway up into here. So again, whenever possible, I'm really going to do my best to leave everybody a corridor through there. So I'm glad, as we were talking about this, you and I, around our little campfire here, I'm glad that we saw that, because that's what's happening. Boom. I'm attacking, continuing. I'm going to go ahead and declare war. That's something I haven't really talked about, but if you declare war, it's less egregious than if you attack without warning. So if you look in the newspaper, when you attack without warning, it's always like the heinous actions, shock the world community. So it's always a good idea to declare war. If you're curious about where that shows up, where that matters, it is here under your popularity, which mine is terrible, but I've had worse. I've had a lot worse. And so people have told me, though, and you know what? I haven't declared war each time. In fact, that's something I used to do all the time. And then somewhere along the way, I fell out of it, and I don't know why. But somebody mentioned it recently. You know who mentioned it is Mighty Benaiah on one of our Discord threads. And I was like, oh yeah, I forgot that. So again, it's cool to be surrounded by people who are knowledgeable about this game. And a good example, of course, I mentioned that Darls Charwin here has had a lot to contribute in terms of just game wisdom. And then, of course, Benaiah, obviously, a sage individual when it comes to 1914 lore. And so anyway, yeah, so went ahead and declared war. You can see it turned red immediately, and usually the AI does something. No, he's just chilling. That is an AI, by the way. I'm not attacking active players quite yet, but there's a lot of AI up here. There's a lot to get into. So hopefully I can just continue to attack up north. And Not really looking, but it would be nice to get a couple more energy tiles, although you can see I'm doing okay with my energy at this point in the game. So that's pretty sweet. I was really kind of screwed for a while there, but have come through it. I got a couple more coal tiles as I was conquering north here. So, I might even at some point start thinking about moving my capital. I would move it to here. So very timid, middling sort of thing, but way further north than the main continent down here where I have most of my stuff, and of course on the island up here. So, all right, not much else to say other than to kind of take note of my allies here. I do wonder about what's going to happen with Shanxi. I hope we continue to, it looks like Shanxi has taken away the vision, which may be nothing. It could actually be that Shanxi is no longer, Shanxi went AI. All right, well, it's official, guys. Shanxi is AI, which means I feel like at least for probably a week, we can ignore Shanxi. In other words, conquer around it, do other stuff, and then at some point, if we want to engineer one of those bloodless takeovers, we can do that, right? Because we do have that right away. We can move in, smother the population centers and position cannons outside, the whole 9 yards. You know the deal. So, all right, that's it, guys. Pretty much done. You can put this in your pipe and smoke it. We're looking for a little bit of an amphibious attack over here. Looks like Darwin has also done something similar, which is great. Waiting to attack in. And other than that, continuing to swarm up the continent here. And all of us continuing to just gather and send, keep that pipeline full. You can see that's just a beautiful ocean of blue that's coming up to absolutely just completely control all of Asia. All right, so last thing, of course, I do want to do is end this up and see where we stand here in terms of our reward points. Reward points having to do, of course, with army size, development, all that stuff. Look at that. We've come back into first place. So the lull there of us being in first place was while we were swimming in the water. Like all of our dudes were had little water wings on, and we were just swimming in the water for weeks, it seemed like. But now that we're there and we're conquering collectively as a team, we should reactivate that serious team energy. So we're already back with the reward points, which is excellent. And then, of course, my favorite metric, as you know, is checking to see how many provinces of a lead we have. So, that's very interesting. So we no longer have the province lead. Somebody, a dark horse, has come forward with just 4 territories. Now, this is scary. This is real scary because when 4 people can capture more than 7 active and cooperative players, it usually means one of these is a high province player, and you know what I'm secretly thinking is potentially a serious gold mark spammer. So, some people, I used to play Clash of Clans, and every once in a while, like our clan would just, and I played it for years. So every once in a while, rarely, we'd get in a game and someone like named Prince Fajid would get into our clan and just start dumping tons of money. And I started to realize, like, there are people out there who don't mind spending like $5,000, like they're rich. They're like seriously rich. Not that anybody's spending $5,000 in this game, but someone might be spending 500. I don't know. Like once you start spamming gold marks, you can just churn out the units. Like think about it, tank after tank after tank after. There's really no limit because you can gold mark all the resources. You can gold mark speeding up units, right? And then so with sort of unlimited army, the sky's the limit, right? So let's go ahead and go back to our not coalitions. Let's go back and look at our diplomacy here and just see if anybody stands out as like a whoa daddy. So I may be way out of line here. So General Viper's in which coalition? The Order. Okay, so 175 in the coalition, the Order. So that is the number 1 guy there. Yeah, there it is. So, and it looks like, 175 for 1 guy is pretty huge. I don't know who our biggest person is. Probably Darwin in terms. So let's see how many territories Darwin has. So 120. So okay, I'm just going to say it. 175 is not unreasonable. Okay, that's not unreasonable. So I'm not gonna cry like a small child about gold marking at this point in time. But it is weird. It is kind of scary when someone just arrives out of nowhere and a 4-country coalition overtakes the number of territories, because we had a lead on everyone just gosh a couple days ago. I haven't cast in a couple days, but that's about it. By the way, if you didn't take note in the game, people have been asking me to mark this. It is day 26. So yeah, last time I cast was day 24. So yeah, in just 2 days, this dark horse has taken over. Wow. Okay. Well, I'm I'm not happy about that, but at the same time, I will say we are on the march now. We're on the land. I've got some serious troopage now. Just the tip of the spear here, of course, has 226 infantry and some tanks and 10 cannons. So that's a nice little force. And if I use it correctly, I should be able to not lose a lot of those guys. Right? Keep the cannon back, block with my infantry, and take out as much stuff as I can with minimal loss. That's the name of the game here, obviously. So, all right, that's it, guys. I've wasted enough of your time. Thanks for checking in, and we'll see you guys probably in a day or two for an update on this as we continue to swarm north and conquer Asia. All right, adios, amigos.